Hello, welcome to our tutorial, and in this tutorial here we're going to look at enhancing an image. This is one of the images we took earlier in the year. So when I open it, it asks me do I want to rotate it, and I do, so it's come in like this. So what we're going to look at today are a set of tools called curves. And they are hidden away here. So you go Tools, Color Tools, and we're going to click on Curves here. Now, these allow us to change all sorts of values inside the image. So it says Channel and then Value. So we can change RGB, so red, green, or blue individually, or just the whole image. So in this top right hand corner, this is a value for white. In fact, this line up here is white, and this line down here is black. And if that doesn't make any sense, let's see if we can make it a bit more real. So if I click anywhere on this line and then drag it down, the entire image will get darker. And if I take the same point here and I lift it up, so everything is going up towards this top line, everything gets brighter. I can do that with an individual channel, so I can pick red, and I can make all of the red parts of the image a little bit darker, or I can increase them and make them brighter. The place that I click on the curve determines what part of the the color spectrum I'm going to change. So if I click up here, I'm going to make the bright red bits, I'm going to change them, and if I click down here, I'll change the dark red bits. So if we look here at the lips, if I click down here, that change will work on them more than if I did it up here. Okay, so I'm going to reset this. So that's our original image. One of the other things we're going to look at before we start using the curves is we're going to look at selection and feathering. So what I'm going to try and do with this image is it's going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to try and make the eyes pop a little bit more. So I'm going to do that by going to my selection tool, and I'm going to just select around this eye area. And then complete my selection here. Now before I make any changes, if I change the curves now, it will change everything inside this selection, and I'll get a harsh line where the change ends and then the original picture begins. So in order to make the transition between our changes and the original image make it smoother, we're going to use a thing called feathering. So I'm going to go up here to select and click on this function here, feather. And it's going to ask us how much we want to feather. So I'm going to hit cancel here and come back and do it in a moment, and just to kind of discuss how large the number should be. So if I go image and then scale image, this gives us the dimensions of the image here. So it's 2,592 pixels wide. So that means that this area here is probably, at a guess, about 1600. So we want this feathering to span about 250 pixels. It'll give us a nice transition. So I hit cancel here, go back to select, and then feather, and then I'm going to type in 250 here. So now you know where I got that number from. It's not a magical number. So we click OK, and then escape, sorry, and then zoom back out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our tools, our color tools, and then down to curves. And what we're going to try and do is, as I said, try and make these eyes kind of pop a little bit. So I'm going to make the bright parts of the image a bit brighter, and the dark parts of the image a bit darker, but not too much. So it's about subtlety, if we can do that. So we'll leave that at that value. Now we're going to come in and take the reds, and we're going to, in this upper area of the reds, just going to increase them just fractionally, and we're going to sort of extend the range of the red over the eyes, and we'll hit OK. Now what I'll do here is I'm actually going to go undo curves. So let's we did this last time. I'm going to go duplicate layer. Okay, and now I'm going to make my changes again, and then we can flick the layer on and off, and you can see what changes were made. So the reason I'm making these changes is to try and kind of increase the contrast. The whole image is very kind of pale and very kind of samey. So we'll go back again to Tools, Color Tools, and Curves. With this value selected here, we'll push up the white a little bit, and then pull down this value here. And then again go to the red channel and see if we can lift that just a little bit, and maybe actually play with blue a fraction. We want to be careful not to send it. If I bring this too far, it'll all go yellow. So we want to, okay, so I'm going to hit OK. And there's no kind of right and wrong to what I'm doing there. It's sort of down to your own personal taste. So what I'm going to do now is going to flick on and off this layer. So you can see that's the original, and that's the changed image. So let's zoom back out, and let's see if we can do something similar here with the lip. So I'm going to go Select and None, and then I'm going to go back to my selection tool, and I'm going to draw around the mouth area here. Okay. We'll zoom in. Oops. We will go Select and Feather, and our value here is still 250, so that's about correct. We could maybe make it a bit smaller, but we'll leave it for that at that for now. Hit OK, and then we'll go Tools, Color Tools, and Curves. And again, we'll increase sort of our contrast and increase the brightness. Now just click OK for now. Okay, and then we'll zoom back out so we can see the whole image. We'll go Select None, and then again we'll just sort of flick between the two so you can see the image before we've manipulated it and after. So before, it's quite flat, it's quite all the images sort of blend together, and then we've sort of highlighted certain components, certain areas in the image that we think are need a bit of attention, and you want to highlight if you're trying to get the viewer to look at the makeup or the area that you find that is of interest to you. Okay, so that's enough for now.